We are back in the bearded garage. We are working on the 993 motor. As you can see, I now have her up on a stand. What we're actually going to focus on now, I did a little research online, and so one of the problems on these Varioram 97 993s, one of the big problems you have is emissions, and the emissions control problems actually come from the SAI, the secondary air injection stuff. So I posted online, and one of the things I found is a couple of guys actually pointed out this here. So this thing is, if you see how cracked it is, it just blew apart when I squeezed it. So so it's this, and then I believe this is a flow valve for secondary air injection. So we're going to replace both of those. In order to make all of this a little bit easier, we're also going to take the intake manifold off. So I just started. What I'm doing here is, if you see intake manifold, there's this piece here. What's nice is all of this stuff looks like it all comes off. There's very few connections. We got this guy here. We come all the way around. Most of this actually all comes off with it. Here we have a couple of pieces. They're just wrapped around though. It looks like we can get around those. It's going to be easier. I mean, I want to take it off because I want to clean it, but I want to clean the inside, probably take it apart, replace all the gaskets. But here's the we've got the spark plugs, the plugs and caps and wires, right? And then we've got the rotors here, or I'm sorry, the caps here, the rotors inside. Because all these route through, all these wires route through, I can take this off and everything's gonna be easier to get to. I can obviously reach the wires and the plugs, but once I get this off, should save me some time and energy. So first thing I did, it looks like this is, the intake is only held in by what looks like a couple of hose clamps. So you can see there's actually bolts down below, but it looks like the hose clamps will allow me to pull this straight off. So I loosen these. There's two here, two there, and then same over on this side. Looks like 6 more, two, and 2. So all I'm doing now is slowly reaching in and trying to loosen these enough that I can get those rubber pieces pulled away from the manifold. Once I get it undone enough, it looks like it's they're nice and loose in there. So then I will try working the manifold off and see how I can get it off. I'd like to get it off in in one big solid piece. I think it's going to save me a lot of time, and then I can take a bunch more pictures to make sure everything goes right back together. So once these free up, they start to spin, then you know you're probably good. All right, the next step in trying to get this intake off. So I like to go all the way around without marring these up, and actually just pry these away. Okay, so the goal here is to break it free. It hasn't been free in a long time. So you can see I got the hose clamps all the way down, as far down as I can get them, right, as released as I can get them. Now, theoretically, once I go all the way around and make sure I'm doing it nice and soft, so not to mar anything up, theoretically, next thing I should be able to do, just give a little tug. Oh, there we go. See? Now, got our intake starting to come off. I'm gonna be real careful because I got a lot of cables. All right, so I got this guy. And then looks like I got what's this, throttle cable. All right, so I'll have to make sure I appropriately disconnect a few cables, and I'll show you which ones I'm gonna do. Now this wiry mess is actually after I have removed the intake manifold. And the way I was able to do this, I actually just took a label maker, and what I did is I printed out zeros, ones, right? 1s, 2s, 3s. There's a 4. There's a 4 there. It shows where they actually connect, all the way up to 8. And then I actually start having A, B, C, D. So all I did was really just disconnect everything, but label it all so I'd be able to figure out where it's all gonna go again. After I remove that, next thing I did is, so I showed just a second ago that these are for the secondary air injection. So the SAI pump. So these will tend to get a pretty pesky SAI check engine light on the Varioram here. So I believe what I was reading online is that this guy here is actually a check valve, and then there's another one on the pump which I just pulled off. There's just a couple of bolts. So here, this guy here. So this is the secondary air injection pump. So what I'm going to do is actually replace the wires and reconnect them through here, and get the same gauge, same wire, same everything, just so that it's all back ready to go. Now that I've got the secondary air injection pump sitting on the bench here, this is obviously made so that it can be rebuilt. So these wires are actually just soldered in here. So I'm going to check to see whether or not they're still good. Got a little bit of corrosion here. I'm going to cut this off and either replace the wires and the insulation, or maybe just shrink wrap them individually. So we'll have to figure out which we want. But what's nice is it comes apart real simple, and must be because they know you're going to have to do this. And frankly, this to me is a pretty big fire hazard. You can see how easily this stuff flakes off, how easy it breaks apart. I can't leave it like that. All right, now we're going to move all of this inside where we've got a little bit better view, and we can see how busted up everything is with a little bit better light. And we can set it right here on the table. All right, so this is the secondary air injection pump. We took the back off of it. It's 2 quick screws here. You can actually see the model. So one of the problems we ran into is all of these wires. So the air injection pump, it's often called the smog pump. I think it's just the load is too bad, and you see how bad this stuff is. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually unsolder these 2 points here and here. Blue being positive on the right, brown being negative. We're going to, once we disconnect it here, we will just pull them through with these. We'll shrink wrap each, and then shrink wrap again to hold them nice and tight, and should be good to go. Should be, and then we'll actually try hooking it up to power just to make sure everything works. So. Well, do you have kids? Because we do, and one of the things we do is we take them to the dentist on a pretty regular basis. And I will tell you, we all have electric toothbrushes in the house, so these don't do a whole lot, and we get probably every visit, between the 4 of us, every visit we get probably, we go twice a year, and every visit we get at least 1 or 2 of these. And they mostly get donated to me. So I love EL toothbrushes. So that's how I clean this bad boy up. this is what the two of these wound up look like after I have shrink wrapped them. All right, so I'm gonna feed these back through here and then solder them back into here, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so this is the secondary air injection pump. After I have soldered the wires back together, you can see positive on the right there, negative on the left. I shrink wrap the individual wires. So you can see they come all the way up. And then I shrink wrapped it a second time just to keep them nice and tight together all the way to the piece here. So I'm going to put the cover back on, and then we're actually gonna go out to the car, hook this up to just regular power, and make sure she still works all right. But not the prettiest solder job I've ever done, but I'll tell you, I yanked on those and they're pretty secure. The last part for reference, before I put all this back together, is these two things here. You'll notice on the actual fitting itself, there's actually a 1 and a 2 right here at the bottom. So 2 is positive, 1 is negative. So when you put that back together, keep that in mind, and everything should be fine. All right, before we get this back into the car, this is just the secondary air injection pump. Gonna do a quick test, red to red, black to black. Make sure this bad boy will actually fire up. Sounds good to me. Should fire up, should sound like a hair dryer, actually. Looks like we're good. Thanks for tuning in to Bearded Garage. This is the second in the series of our Porsche 993 adventure, America.
Don't forget to smash that subscribe button.
Thanks.